So you're a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you're not gonna quit, and you wanna know how long does it take to go from blue to purple. Of course, it's gonna depend on the instructor and the school you go to, but the journey from blue belt to purple belt is a very special and arduous journey for people in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Reason why is most people quit, or at least there's a meme that most people quit at blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Why is this? Well, the fact of the matter is, it's really hard to get a blue belt. And if you saw my video about how long it takes to progress through white belt, you'll understand it's a very arduous journey. And by the time you make it to blue belt, it might have been 2.5, even 3 years since you've been a white belt. And you're so used to not having any expectations on you, you're not a colored rank at this point, but the day you go from white belt 4 stripe to blue belt 0 stripe, people are gonna respect you more. And it's kind of a funny thing to say because we talk about all the time how the belts don't matter. But let me tell you, they do matter. Because the second you get your blue belt, there is going to be a white belt who has no idea what's going on, scans the room, spots your dark colored belt, and then asks you a question. Now, you may not know the answer to this question. You can always say, hey, I'm just a blue belt. This is what I think. This is what I know. Maybe go ask another instructor or somebody else. You can always play the humility card, but the fact of the matter is you're going to have that respect, you're going to have people who come up to you, and you are going to feel a deep insecurity because you're not that good at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu yet. And when you're a blue belt, you're still a beginner rank. It's only the second belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for a reason. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu takes a really, really long time to learn. So going from that 0 stripe blue belt to that 1 stripe blue belt, probably the longest stripe of almost your entire career. Obviously, everything depends on your instructor, but that step from 0 stripe blue belt to 1 stripe blue belt is typically when your instructor is looking at you to see if not only do you understand the techniques and everything like that, but are you stepping up as a leader in the gym. You may not like it, but when you're a blue belt, you have some additional responsibility, and you don't have to slave away and completely dedicate yourself to the gym and sacrifice your entire life to jiu-jitsu now, but you are going to have to help out some new people every once in a while. And I think that actually can help your journey, learning how to coach other people. It reinforces your own knowledge. But some people don't want to coach. Some people don't like having that extra responsibility. Some people like showing up and feeling like they can just mess up the move because they're white belt. Well, here's the secret. You can mess up the move no matter what color rank you are. You just have to mess it up. Trust me, I know. The key is not feeling bad about it once you mess up and learning that it's part of the process of growing and getting better. So typically that first stripe from 0 stripe blue belt to 1 stripe blue belt might even take about 6 months. Really, your instructor is waiting for you to simmer into that rank. I've seen people take a year or more, but usually that's due to inconsistencies because if you don't show up, you're obviously not going to get promoted. So that first stripe is when they're looking to see if you're going to become a leader, if you are going to quit, right? Because blue belts quit. Unfortunately, everybody quits, but it happens a lot at blue belt. And really to see if you can harden in and solidify your game. Because that early stage of blue belt development, you're still kind of a white belt. And you shouldn't feel bad if you tap out to white belts or white belts tap you out, because you're still really sinking into your own game. And you're almost always going to get tapped out white belts. There are some wrestlers, there are some good white belts, it happens. So you have to let that go. And once you get that first stripe, I'd say honestly, the 3rd to the 4th are so much easier. It's that first stripe to see whether or not you're going to stick it out. So once you get that first stripe about 6 months to a year in as a blue belt, then you're a real blue belt. Because now you're not just a fresh baby blue belt who's trying to, show up and I don't even know what blue belts are trying to do these days. Heel hooks on kids, white belts, I guess. But after you get that first stripe, now you're really, really into it. You are an advanced rake in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You help people out. You know almost every single position and at least 1 to 3 things to do from there. And when you go from that first stripe to that 2nd and 3rd stripe is really when your instructor is looking at you to see if you have a game that you can call your own. Not only do you just know moves from every position, but do you have things that you start to gravitate towards and that you're better at than other people? Because when you're a blue belt, you're going to go against specialists. whether that be a leg lock specialist or a wrestler specialist or an armbar specialist or a close guard specialist, you're going to go against people who have spent more time in a particular position. So while they may be a blue belt overall, if they've practiced closed guard relentlessly for years, their closed guard game might be purple, brown, even black belt level. I want to finish talking about that second and third stripe, that solidification into your game. When you're a blue belt and you're starting to do moves that you favor more, this really is the process of defining your own jiu-jitsu game, and it's what's going to take you to those advanced ranks, because you can't learn everything in jiu-jitsu. When you're a white belt, you kind of have to learn everything at a surface level so you have an understanding of what's going on. When you're a blue belt, you have to learn everything deeper, but then you have to take a couple concepts and really dive deep into them. So then you start to have your own game. And for me, I focused on things like mounted triangles. That was one of the moves I chose to pick and put into my game. Then, once you start having your own game, once you start understanding almost every position from a deeper level, you're stepping up as a leader in the gym, then they're going to start looking at that third and fourth stripe. And those third and fourth stripes on the blue belts are really just pats on the back and attaboys. It really just means you're on your way to purple. And by the time you're a purple belt, you should have a few things that you're specialized in. You should be generally pretty good at every position. And hopefully you're kicking some butt. So to summarize, how long does it take to progress through blue belt? A long time. In general, it takes 6 months or so to get that first stripe. And if you go on 6 months per stripe, it's going to take 2 years. 2 years is a long time, but it's also not. It's going to depend on your journey. Really, what this step in your journey is going to determine is whether or not you're sticking with jiu-jitsu for life, or whether or not it was a hobby you kind of dabbled with a little bit, you kind of know some grappling, and you let it go. And that'd be a shame if you quit at blue belt. Make it to purple. All right, then quit.